All right, so if you know me, then you already know that I love Sasquatches and cryptids and urban legends and all that type of stuff. And I also really love Operation Monster Force by Big Bad Workshop. So today I'm very excited to talk about the newest Monster Force figure. What we have here is the Operation Monster Force Chadzsworth by Big Bad Workshop, aka Fresh Monkey Fiction. And I want to give a huge thank you to the folks over at Big Bad Workshop and Big Bad Toy Store for sending this out to me to do an early review. Thank you so much. I'm really excited about this. This is probably one of the most exciting figures in this line to me because, like I said, I love Sasquatches. So let's go ahead and get right into it, starting off with the packaging. Through the window, you are able to see Chatsworth. Chatsworth is a crazy name for this type of character, but I dig it. It looks really cool, man. I can't wait to get the figure out of the packaging. On the side, it does say Chatsworth, and then on the back, we get some really cool looking comic book artwork, and it tells us a little bit about this character. And it's interesting because this guy is like the first Monster Force character that kind of feels a little bit silly in a good way, you know, like he adds a little bit of levity to the entire situation. All the rest of the characters are very serious. The story sounds serious, and it kind of feels like Chatsworth is like a little bit of a comic relief. Not like super silly, but just a little bit more lighthearted than some of the other characters. So that's kind of cool. And then over here, we get some information about the conflict within the Monster Force world. We get some really dope looking artwork. Down at the bottom, we have some credits for all the people that worked on the Monster Force lore and the figures themselves. So that's always nice to see. But yeah, man, the packaging is awesome. I love the comic book artwork. I would totally read a whole comic book series like based on the Monster Force world with this art and this story because it just looks amazing. But yeah, man, the packaging is nice, but enough about the pretty box. Let's go ahead and get this thing out and take a look. So one of the first things that caught my attention when I took Chatsworth out of the box was how good all the joints felt. I think the factory did a great job of properly oiling the joints and making sure the figure is ready for play right out of the box. Like I really didn't have to heat too much up. I did have to heat up the feet, but aside from that, everything else was good to go. Like all the joints feel really nice. The only joint that I think may need a little bit more oil is this upper thigh, and maybe not. Like it's probably fine, but compared to this one, which feels like perfect, I kind of want to oil this up. But aside from that, everything else felt really, really good. And even that doesn't feel too bad. It just, I'm comparing it to the other one, which feels perfect. But yeah, man, that's an underrated aspect of like releasing figures. You want them to feel good right out of the box and everything. And I know sometimes it's kind of like, oh, I got to heat this up. It's not a big deal. And, you know, I agree. It's not a big deal. But if you take a figure out of the packaging and you try to pose it up and like the knee is stuck or the arm won't move or, you know, whatever, it kind of takes the wind out of your sails just a little bit as far as like the initial enjoyment goes, you know. With Chatsworth, I kind of had the opposite kind of experience. I thought I was going to have to warm him up because he's big and, you know, he's like a big old Sasquatch. He's like got these big arms and everything. And I thought it was going to kind of be like, you know, a pain to get him broken and moving and stuff, but it wasn't. Right out of the box, like he started to move really nicely. I was like, oh, damn, like I don't have to heat him up. So that's awesome. But yeah, man, I think this guy turned out really great. It's really well sculpted. I love the fur, the paint and like the different colors on the fur look really nice. I like the design of the head sculpt. I like his big old feet. And one thing I love about this guy is that he has some options. Like obviously you have this Chatsworth character, which is very cool. And he's like a military kind of Sasquatch. But if you want to remove some of this stuff, you could just make yourself like a, you know, like a generic Sasquatch. Let's go ahead and take that head with the headband off. It's really easy to pop on the head, so that's cool. And then for the belt, it doesn't unfasten or anything, but you could kind of pop them apart right here at the waist. It's not too bad. Yeah, there we go. And look at that. Then you just have like a cool generic Sasquatch. Hopefully they release these in different colors because I would love, you know how like Loose Collector is doing a white Yeti and a black version and all that. I want all those colors for this guy too. That'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, man, right out of the box, this is a really impressive figure. And I'm having a lot of fun actually handling it. Even though I don't love all the articulation choices, like I do wish that he had double jointed elbows and knees and, you know, a little bit more going on with the limbs. But still, even with those like limitations, I'm still having a great time posing this figure around. As you can see, it's not too hard to pop them apart. For pop them, you know, if you want to pop them apart this easy, you do want to kind of warm them up for that and do it a couple times. And once you do it a couple times, it gets a little easier. But yeah, man, It looks great. So yeah, I think he's really fun to play with, even though there are some areas that I do wish had a little bit more articulation. Overall, the figure's a lot of fun to handle. So yeah, man, I think they did a great job with it. Right out of the box, I'm really happy with the way he turned out. And they did some really nice work with the details on Chadsworth. Starting off with this head sculpt here. He has two different head sculpts too, but we'll take a look at those in just a minute. This is the one that's on him when you take him out of the box, but it looks really good. It's got a cool facial expression, some really nice detail work. I like the green eyes too. Those look really nice. The paintwork in the mouth area looks good. I love the headband. All of it is really well done. So yeah, they did a nice job with that. And I really like the fur too. It's got like different shades of brown in there that look really nice. Some nice wash work in there as well. It looks good. Oh, and this is a little detail that I like a lot. On the neck, like they left a kind of a skin kind of area, or like a patch of skin right there to kind of go along with the chest and everything. I think that's cool. And the rest of the neck is hairy. So yeah, look at that, man. It looks really nice. Really great paint work on here. A lot of depth to it, and it looks good. And check out the chest here. He does have nipples, but they're smooth. They're not sculpted on. They're just drawn on there, but they did a good job with it. And yeah, look at all that, man. It looks really nice. And then check out the belt that he has right here. So the belt is a separate floating piece. So, you know, like I showed you before, you could take it off. But the details on the belt itself looks really good. We have some like grenades of some sort over here, some type of like smoke grenades or something. We have some pouches, a canteen, there we go, in case it gets thirsty. Yeah, so that looks really good. And I love the feet. He's got big old feet, and that's very appropriate. The detail work on the hands look good too. Check that out. I like the skin right there. That looks cool. Yeah, look at that paintwork, man. I love the color of the fur. It looks really nice. But yeah, I think it's a great looking Sasquatch. And for accessories, as I mentioned, he does come with a total of 3 head sculpts. This is the first one, the one that we just looked at, obviously. But yeah, this is cool, man. I really like the headband on here because it kind of makes it uniquely Chatsworth. You know what I'm saying? Like, the other head sculpts are kind of like, you know, just Sasquatches. This right here gives him a little bit of character because he has that headband and it kind of goes with like the rest of the military kind of look. And then if you just need like a regular Sasquatch head sculpt, here we go. And this looks awesome, man. This is so cool. It kind of has like an ape-ish type of vibe to it with like the rounded, you know, mouth area. But I like the pointed head and how like the chin kind of comes down to a V like that. That is super cool. He does have green eyes still. The teeth look nice. And yeah, like I said, this just works for like a regular Sasquatch if you need it, you know? So I love that they included, you know, a head that has a headband so that it like kind of goes with the character. And then we have something like this that could still go with the character, but at the same time, it just works as like a Sasquatch. So yeah, I love that. And then he does have this head sculpt here, and he kind of looks like happy or relaxed or something. I don't know. He looks like he's just chilling. So yeah, this is a cool looking head sculpt. And again, it works for Chatsworth or just a Sasquatch. And I like the different styles, like the angry Sasquatch heads, and then this one right here, just kind of a little bit more silly and cool looking, you know? I think they did a good job with all 3 of them. And then he comes with 2 sets of hands. First off, we have a pair of gripping hands, and these can be used to hold on to the gun that he comes with. And then he comes with a pair of like clawed hands or like open dramatic hands. And yeah, these are cool. I like the hands that he comes with. It would have been nice if he came with some fists too, but you know, I'm not mad at what we have here. And then he does come with these ammunition belts that you could put on him. There's 2 of them, as you could see. They are soft plastic, so, you know, they're very easy to deal with. And if you want to take them off, you just kind of have to remove the head and then, you know, they come right off. It's really easy to take these on and off, so that's nice. And yeah, they look really cool. I think it adds to the whole military vibe of Chatsworth. And as you can see, they did a good job with them. We have a little bit of gold and green paint on them. So I like that they included these things here so that, you know, you could get them all geared up, ready for war. And then here's a quick look at his gun, and we'll take a look at him holding onto it in just a minute, but I wanted to give you a close look at it because I think they did a great job on this. Shout out to Gridiron Studios who designed this weapon. Look at that, man. I love these shell cases flying out from there. They did a really good job with that. Man, that's awesome. And they plug into right here. So they stay in there securely when you have them plugged in like that. Man, that's so dope. That's a cool effect. This is a great looking gun, man. Look at this. Got the handle with the red trigger, a little bit of red going on in there, some tubes, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Then we do have a muzzle flare here at the end that looks really nice with the different shades of orange. That is awesome to see. We've got the barrel, and this comes out. So if you need to store it or whatever, you can do that. And then he does have like these really long ammunition things. And yeah, this is crazy. It's actually two of them, but you're able to like put them together with this thing. Like it comes with this little block. So you have some options, and this actually comes apart. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really 100% sure what to do with this. But yeah, it makes it to where you can kind of like put all this together. Oh, there we go. You could put all this together and maybe have like someone holding this and then Chatsworth shooting this thing off. Man, this is crazy. I love these cases flying out like that. But yeah, this is a great looking gun. And then this is articulated, which helps, you know, him hold on to it. So you don't have to like force anything. You could kind of just move this as you need to. But yeah, this is a great looking gun. Some really nice colors and shading. Has a nice metallic look. Kind of a dirty look to it too. Look at that, man. Yeah, like I said, Gridiron Studios really did a phenomenal job on this weapon. So they're killing it. And then here we have Chatsworth holding on to the gun. And yeah, this is completely insane. We've got this big old Sasquatch holding on to this big old gun with all this ammunition just ready to mow down the undead soldiers led by the Forgotten King. Again, I love these cases flying out like that. That's awesome. And he looks really good holding on to it. Thankfully, because of the wrist articulation, it makes it really easy to position his hand in a way that, you know, makes it look like he's holding onto it naturally. And then, you know, this bar moves and the handle of the gun itself fits nicely into that other hand. So it all works really well. So I like that. I think they did a good job with this weapon. And then he comes with 4 donuts. We have like a strawberry frosted donut, I guess you could say. There's a little bit of paint rub on there from when I tried to stick it into one of his hands. We have a chocolate donut. And these are cool. Not a whole lot to them, but again, you know, just kind of adds to the silliness of Chadsworth. It would have been cool if he came with a pink box for the donuts. That'd be awesome. Here we have some type of like white frosting, and then we have a chocolate donut with a bite taken out of it. I would assume that he could take a bigger bite than that. What's up with that? He'd probably just take a full donut to the head without even having to take a bite out of it. Just pop it in his mouth like a goddamn Cheerio or something. But anyways, yeah, it's cool that he comes with these donuts. I think that's a lot of fun. And like all Monster Force figures, he does come with a display base with his name on the front. As you can see, it says Chatsworth right there. We've got some pegs on there, and it kind of looks a little bit like a tombstone, which is nice. They've kept the look of these stands pretty consistent. And I think that this one will be really useful for this guy because he's such a big character. You don't want him to fall over and knock down all your Monster Force figures. So, you know, you could set him up on the base there and it stays on there nicely. He does look kind of weird with his feet so close together though. But yeah, that's definitely useful. And for some quick size comparisons, here we have Chadzsworth alongside the Big Bad Workshop Monster Force Eraser and the Monster Force Donner Party. And it's cool to have like all these different types of characters in this line. They have some other monsters and things like that, but I think they're doing a pretty good job of keeping things diverse and making like the figures feel unique, not just like repaints of each other or like simple, just redone versions of like the same kind of thing, you know? Like they're throwing wolves in there and now we have a Sasquatch. Hopefully we see more big type of monsters inside the Monster Force line. And then next up we have them alongside the Monster Force Declan. If you're not aware, Declan is kind of like the Van Helsing character within the Monster Force world. And over here we have another Monster Force figure. I can't remember the exact name of these guys, but it's like a suited body, obviously. And these are awesome, man. They kind of remind me of like Men in Black or FBI agents or whatever. But these are some of the best suited bodies in 1/12 scale that aren't made of soft goods, like plastic suited bodies. These things are awesome, man. But Anyways, I do like the way that Chadsworth looks next to like human characters. He's big and crazy. It'd be fun to have like a bunch of these guys escorting Chadsworth around or something, you know? That'd be cool. And next up, we have Chadsworth alongside the Monster Force Kilowog. If you're not familiar with this figure, it's basically a re-release of the Veteran William, but they kind of put a bunch of accessories in there, put it out as a part of the Monster Force line, and I think it's dope, especially now that we have Chadsworth. It's cool to have like bigger creatures in this world alongside some of the smaller types of monsters. And then over here we have like the cool model werewolf, and I love this thing, man. I know it's not perfect, articulation kind of sucks, and it's pretty expensive, but I don't know what it is. I have two of these things, and I like them quite a bit. I don't know, maybe I'm alone in thinking these are cool. I don't hear people talk about them too often, but I love werewolves and I love these figures. But yeah, I love seeing all these different types of creatures together. And then next up, we have them alongside the Mezco 112 Collective Junkyard Joe. And then on the opposite side, we have my original character, Odious. This is the upcoming Army Odious that's on the way. Should be seeing this late this year or very early next year. This is a prototype, so the belt is kind of busted up. But yeah, as you can see, he looks really cool next to Chadsworth and Junkyard Joe. It's cool having these like sci-fi type of characters like mixed in or like put into like a realistic setting like war, you know? I like that kind of stuff. I like stories that have monsters in wars that would have taken place in the real world. I think that's super cool, like Invaders and, you know, various stories with werewolves in World War II and all that kind of stuff. And that's why like Monster Force and Chadsworth really appeals to me. And yeah, I feel like Army Odious would fit right in with them. And then next we have them alongside the Mezco King Kong. And then on the opposite side, we have the NECA King Kong. And this one's custom painted by the homie Artman Customs on Instagram. Gave this to me as a gift years ago, and I love it. It's one of my favorite pieces. And then of course we have to have them alongside the Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows Spider-Man and the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap. And then here we have them alongside the figure Obscura Frankenstein's Monster by the Four Horsemen. On the opposite side, we have the Thousand Toys Hellboy. And then lastly, we have them alongside my original character, Odious. This is the finished Odious figure that's already released. You can pick that up. I'll leave links to that below. On the opposite side, we have the NECA Mirage Comics Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Kirby, aka the King Jack Kirby. So the articulation on Chatsworth is kind of interesting because I'm a little conflicted. On one hand, I do feel like he has a pretty good articulation setup for a character with this size and design. But then on the other hand, I do feel like there are some shortcomings. I really wish that he had double jointed elbows and double jointed knees. But at the same time, the fact that he doesn't have those things hasn't really negatively impacted my enjoyment of the figure. I've been having a blast messing around with this thing. Right out of the box, it felt good in hand, and I've been playing with it ever since I took it out, you know? It's a really fun figure. I do feel like they did some cool stuff with the articulation to make him a little bit more dynamic. So maybe maybe I'm caught under the allure of having a cool Sasquatch figure, so it's kind of like making me look at things with rose-colored glasses or whatever, because I'm just having so much fun with it. Like I go, oh yeah, I wish I had double joints, but I don't care. And I've just been like posing it around, messing with it, getting them into some like really cool poses. And it's just a fun figure. So it's hard to complain about something, even if you can look at it and go, yeah, that's a, you know, that's kind of like a negative, or that could have been done better. At the same time, it's like, it could have been done better, but whatever. It's a lot of fun. And that's kind of where I'm at with it, you know? But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look because, like I said, I've been having a blast messing around with this figure. First off, I love what they did at the head and the neck. He does have movement at the upper neck and at the lower neck. So using both of those, we get a little bit of tilt action. He could look side to side. He could look up to about right there, which is really nice. So let me get his neck situated. Get it all lined up there. There we go. He could look up to about right there, which is really good. And then he could look down to right there. And I like how you could swing his head side to side. That's one of those joints that makes him feel a little bit more dynamic. So I like that a lot. Yeah, really good stuff at the head and the neck. And then for the torso, he does have a diaphragm cut and a ball joint at the waist. Using both of those, he's only able to crunch forward to about right there. So I do wish that there was a little bit more forward movement there. It goes back a pretty good amount. It goes side to side nicely. And then, you know, you could rotate at the waist or rotate at the diaphragm. So we get really nice movement all the way around, but I do wish that he was able to crunch forward just a little bit more. But yeah, you know, at least there's something. So I'm okay with that. And then he does have butterfly joints at the shoulders, which are nice. So you can get his arms in front of him a little bit. And then he does have ball joints at the shoulders as well. So those go all the way around. And then they come up to right there. And then he does have upper bicep swivel. He has a single joint here at the elbow, as I mentioned before. And, you know, they can only go to about right there because he's got big old arms. And then he does have ball joints here at the wrist. And if you move those nicely, you could kind of give the illusion that he's crunching his arm a little bit more. The ball joints at the wrist are really nice. They're big old ball joints with the hinge, and then you could swivel the hand on there. So good stuff there at the wrist. But yeah, double jointed elbows would have been nice on here. And then for the legs, he actually has drop down hips, which is kind of crazy for such a big character. So you could drop his hips down to right there, bring his leg forward to about right there. So you could get him sitting down in the woods or whatever. You could kick his leg out to the side a really good amount, so that's cool. And then we get some rotation up in there. There's like it's kind of like a NECA Mafex style leg joint where the ball joint is in there and it does rotate on there, but there's no like thigh cut and it's nicely hidden. So that's good. I think they did a good job with that. And then for the legs, he does have single joints here at the knee that swivel. I don't know if I mentioned it up here, but on the single joint on the arm, it does swivel as well. So there you go. But at the knee, we get a little bit of a swivel, and you know, the knee only gets a little bit of range. It only bends to about right there. So a little bit more would have been nice. And then at the leg, we have a ball joint. I mean, at the ankle, we have a ball joint, and the foot could go forward to about right there. Obviously, he's got a lot of hair right here, so it's a little hindered, but it could go down to about right there, come up to right there. It's got a little bit of rocking action, and then he has toe hinge. So again, you know, I'd be lying if I said that the articulation was perfect, but then I'd also be lying if I sat here and acted like I wasn't having a whole bunch of fun playing with this figure. So like I said, I'm conflicted. I think they did a good job with making the figure hand-friendly and a joy to handle, but I do feel like there are some things they could have done with the articulation that would have made this figure a little bit more posable and, you know, more capable of doing different types of things. But as it is right now, I like the articulation. I would say that I'm satisfied with the articulation on him, and I'm having a great time messing around with this figure. So yeah, they did a good job with it. Alrighty, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I think this is a really dope figure. Fresh Monkey Fiction and Big Bad Workshop did a really nice job on this guy. I think he's a whole lot of fun, and I feel like there's a whole lot to enjoy here. Personally, I really appreciate the versatility of this figure. Not only is it this unique character, Chadzsworth, this big military Sasquatch with guns and pouches and ammunition belts and a headband and all this cool stuff, the character feels like he's a unique addition to the whole Monster Force world, you know? And I've got to say, I think they're doing a great job of building up the Monster Force lore with all these different types of characters. Like, you've got some urban legends in there, some classic monsters, all kinds of cool stuff. And I feel like Chadzsworth is a unique part of it. And this figure is very cool in that regard. You know, it represents this character really well. But then on top of that, this figure works really well as like a generic Sasquatch, you know? And to me, that's so cool. That's something that I've been wanting for a very long time, you know? Like a whole line of urban legend, like cryptid, Sasquatch type of characters. There's not a whole lot of options out there. I know we have the loose collector ones on the way, and I can't wait for those. They look incredible. And yeah, man, it's cool to get like this and, you know, those ones right behind it. It's going to be nice to be able to finally put together like a whole Sasquatch shelf. But, you know, in the past, there hasn't been a lot of Sasquatch-based action figure lines. The only other one I could think of was, I can't remember the name of it, to be honest with you, but I remember they were sculpted by John St. John, and they looked really cool, but I never picked them up because I never saw them in person. But they looked awesome. But anyways, as someone who's like into Bigfoots and Sasquatches and Yetis and all that kind of stuff, I'm very excited to finally get like different versions of Sasquatch. And this one here for me, like whenever I think of Sasquatches, I think there's like two ways to look at it. There's like the kind of scary, mysterious way, and then there's kind of like a little bit of a more silly way, you know, like Harry and the Hendersons type shit. And I feel like this kind of leans a little bit more towards the silly side, like a little bit cartoonish. But then, you know, if you have them done up as Chadzsworth, it works well in the Monster Force world that's a little bit more serious. I think they did a great job with it. And then as far as the figure goes, I think it looks great. It's really well sculpted. The design, the fur, all of that looks really good. The articulation is nice too. I think that the articulation setup is pretty decent for a character like this, even though There are some things I wish were a little bit different, you know, double jointed knees and elbows would have been nice. But as it is right now, I'm having so much fun playing around with the figure. I don't even mind the fact that he's missing some joints that I would have preferred in there, you know? I still think it's a really fun figure to pose around and play with. I like all the accessories too, man. It would have been cool if he came with like a screaming head, but aside from that, I love the 3 head sculpts that he comes with. The guns, the ammunition pouches, the donuts, all of that is a whole lot of fun. So there's a lot of great stuff there. I think he's gonna look amazing next to the other Monster Force figures, but man, I'm gonna need 2 of these because I need one to go with my Monster Force figures and then one to go with my Sasquatch shelf, you know? I can't wait to put that together. But anyways, I'm really digging this figure, man. I think they did a great job, and I want to give a huge thank you to Big Bad Toy Store and the folks over at Big Bad Workshop for sending this out to me so I could get an early look. I really do appreciate it. If you want to pick up this figure, I'll leave a pre-order link in the description below and in the pinned comment, so be sure to check that out. But yeah, man, this thing is awesome, and I can't wait to build up my Sasquatch shelf with this and the loose collector Sasquatches. It's gonna be so dope, man. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. Thank you very much. Peace.